Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because the Houston Texans are officially at the center of the storm. We are talking about a franchise-defining moment that has everyone from the front office to the locker room on high alert. There are rumors circulating about the face of this franchise that simply cannot be ignored, alongside critical roster moves that signal a complete shift in philosophy. The tension is palpable, the stakes are sky high, and if you think Nick Caserio is done making those, you are sadly mistaken. This is not just news, this is the future of the Texans on the line right now.
The NFL rumor mill is a dangerous place, and right now it is spinning out of control regarding the Houston Texans and their franchise quarterback, CJ Stroud. Over the last 48 hours, there has been a surge of noise, speculation, and whispers suggesting that Houston might actually entertain the idea of moving on from Stroud in a blockbuster trade scenario. Let me be clear about the facts on the ground. Sources indicate that while the market is monitoring the situation, tight end Dalton Schultz has come out swinging, vehemently defending his quarterback and shutting down the notion that there is any internal fracture. Schultz is making it known that this locker room is united behind number 7. But here is where I lose my patience and where you need to wake up and smell the coffee. The mere fact that this is even a topic of conversation is absolute blasphemy. We are talking about CJ Stroud, the offensive rookie of the year, the man who turned this franchise around overnight? Who in their right mind starts a rumor like this? It is disrespectful, it is ludicrous, and quite frankly, it shows a lack of understanding of what building a winning culture looks like. You do not trade a cornerstone quarterback unless you have lost your mind. Stephen A. is telling you right now, if the Texans front office even picks up the phone to listen to an offer, they should be fired on the spot. It is that simple. You build around this young man. You do not ship him out. But why is this noise happening? It is usually a smokescreen, a distraction to cover up the real issues plaguing the roster. When you have smoke this thick surrounding your star player, it usually means there's a fire burning somewhere else in the organization that nobody is talking about yet. This noise distracts. And that brings us to a massive problem brewing on the roster, a situation involving a former high draft pick that is quickly turning into a nightmare that the front office can no longer ignore.
Listen, you cannot find this level of raw, unfiltered analysis anywhere else. If you want the truth about your Texans delivered straight to your ears every single day, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. The focus shifts from the quarterback to the trenches and the hard decisions that define a general manager's tenure. There is mounting pressure within the Texans organization to finally pull the plug on a former second-round draft pick who simply has not lived up to the hype. We are looking at a player who was brought in with high expectations, expected to be a staple of this team's future, but has delivered nothing but inconsistency and frustration. The sources I talk to say the patience is wearing thin, and the financial implications of keeping him on the roster are becoming a burden they can no longer justify. Releasing him would open up critical salary cap space and a roster spot that this team desperately needs for contributors who actually want to play football. This is the ugly side of the business, but it is necessary. You cannot keep holding on to a mistake just because you drafted him high. That is the sunk cost fallacy, and it destroys franchises. If you cannot block, if you cannot perform, if you are a liability every time you step on the field, get out. The Texans are trying to win a Super Bowl, not run a charity for underachieving draft picks. It is time to cut the cord, swallow the pride, and admit that this pick was a bust. We see it all the time in this league. Teams hold on too long, hoping for a miracle that never comes. Nick Caserio needs to be ruthless here. Send a message to the rest of the locker room that mediocrity will not be tolerated in Houston. If you are not contributing to the protection of CJ Stroud, you are actively hurting this football team. But getting rid of the dead weight is only half the battle. Once you create that hole in the roster, you have to fill it immediately. And the Texans have just made a move to bring back a familiar face to stop the bleeding on the offensive line effectively.
In a direct response to the need for stability, the Houston Texans have officially pulled the trigger on renewing the contract of an experienced offensive lineman who previously spent time with the Carolina Panthers. This move is all about continuity and ensuring that the depth chart does not completely collapse before training camp even begins. The front office views this veteran as a necessary insurance policy, someone who knows the system and can step in when things get messy. It is a pragmatic, logical move by the organization to secure the borders of that pocket for the upcoming 2026 campaign. But let's be real for a second. Is this really the move that gets you excited? Is this the splash that sends shivers down the spine of the AFC South? Absolutely not. We are talking about a depth piece, a band-aid on a bullet wound. I understand the need for depth. I get it. You need bodies. But do not sit there and tell me that bringing back a journeyman lineman is the solution to keeping C.J. Stroud upright against the ferocious pass rushes of the AFC. It is a safe move, a conservative move, and quite frankly, it is a boring move. The Texans need dominance, not just competence. They need maulers, they need tone setters, not just guys who are happy to have a jersey. While I respect the hustle of staying in the league, this franchise needs to aim higher. You cannot win championships with leftovers. You win them with elite talent. This signing keeps the floor stable, sure, but it does absolutely nothing to raise the ceiling of this offense, and that is the problem. If the Texans think this is enough to compete with the Chiefs and the Ravens, they are dreaming. The real reinforcements have to come from somewhere else, and all eyes are now turning to the upcoming draft, where the experts are screaming that Houston must take a drastic new approach to fix this offense properly. It is time to stop playing it safe and start taking risks.
The scouting combine is in the rearview mirror, and the analysis pouring in regarding the Texans' draft strategy is loud and undeniable. Every major mock draft and roster analysis released in the last 24 hours is pointing to one singular truth. The Houston Texans must prioritize offensive upgrades immediately. We are talking about a heavy emphasis on the offensive line and wide receiver positions. The experts agree that despite the defensive prowess of D'Amico Ryans, this team will go as far as the offense takes them. And right now, the offense needs more firepower and more protection. This is not a suggestion. This is a mandate from the football gods. You have a Ferrari in C.J. Stroud, but you are driving him on a gravel road with bald tires. The analysts are right. You look at the draft board and you see elite tackles and explosive playmakers who can change the geometry of the field. If Nick Caserio uses his premium capital on a defensive back or a linebacker, he is committing malpractice. You have to surround your quarterback with weapons of mass destruction. I want to see a receiver who strikes fear into the heart of defensive coordinators. I want to see a tackle who eats pass rushers for breakfast. The window is open right now. You do not wait for 3 years down the road. You attack the draft with the mindset that you are one piece away from the Lombardi Trophy. The pressure is on the scouting department to identify the guys who can start day one and make an impact. No more projects, no more wait and see. We need production, and we need it now. This draft is the turning point. It is the moment where the Texans decide if they are contenders or pretenders. Everything we have discussed today, from the rumors to the cuts to the signings, leads to this one weekend in April. The question remains, will they have the courage to make the big swing? Because if they miss on this draft, the consequences will be felt for a very long time.
This is a defining stretch for H-Town. We are navigating through wild trade rumors, making tough cuts to clear dead weight, signing veterans for depth, and looking at a draft that could change everything. The front office is on the clock, and the decisions made in the next few weeks will dictate the next 5 years of this franchise. I need to hear from you right now. Do you buy the noise surrounding C.J. Stroud, or is it all garbage? And who is the one player in the draft you want the Texans to target? Drop your comments below. Let's get a debate going. We are building the strongest Texans community right here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, stay locked in.